RealAgriculture.com's coverage of Cropweek in Saskatoon is brought to you by FarmLink Marketing Solutions, BioVision Seed Labs, the Canadian Wheat Board, and High Stick NT. We're joined right now on RealAgriculture.com by Mark Van Veen from Salford Machinery. Welcome today, Mark.
Thank you.
Mark, there's been a lot of people around the booth here. I've had to wait for a while for the interview. A lot of people inquiring about the Salford RTS. For farmers in Western Canada that aren't familiar with it, what is the RTS?
The RTS is a rolling coulter with a harrow and basket out back. RTS stands for Residue Tillage Specialist. So its prime job is to manage residue, and its secondary job is to open, dry, fluff, more correctly manage moisture levels within the soil in both dry and wet conditions.
So there's obviously a lot of different tillage tools that are available to farmers. I don't know a lot about it, but why is it different? Like, why are people excited about the RTS?
Tillage is almost a misnomer with it. It's we call it vertical tillage, and what it does is that a tillage traditionally takes ground and turns it or stirs it, where with the RTS basically you don't do that. All you do is take your soil profile and just extend it and just open it basically and add air to it. You basically fracture, open it, and add air.
So what does that do?
And by adding air, the analogy I use is it's basically very similar to what happens in a wood stove. You add air to the situation and basically the whole system picks up. So in a soil structure, when you have the right balance of air and water, then your bacterial growth, your fungi, all that other stuff that's in the soil for the processing of nutrients and giving the ideal seed bed are in the right proportion.
So is there an ideal rotation where it really fits, or is it kind of, it doesn't really matter what you're growing, the RTS fits best?
No, not really. It can be used in pretty much all situations. As the name implies, where its prime job is to manage residue, it excels and shines the most in situations that have extremely high amounts of residue or where you need to manage very large amounts of residue. So higher residue crops, it shines more than in lower residue situations.
What widths does it come in?
We make from 8 feet to 60 feet.
To 60 feet?
60 feet, yes.
So for a 60-foot machine, reasonably flat, land in Saskatchewan, how big a tractor do you need?
Fair size. I would say in that 550 to 575 horsepower with a 60-foot machine. The rough estimate on horsepower is 8 to 50 feet. It depends on how deep you want to run and the speed at which you want to run. Roughly at 10 mile an hour, you need roughly 8 to 8.5 horsepower flow.
For the 8-foot, who's using the 8-foot machine?
We surprisingly sell 8-foots into places like Pennsylvania, where small dairy farms, Mennonite dairy farms, that sort of thing. We've also sold them into orchards, where they maintain between in vineyards and where they maintain between the trees and the vines. And interestingly enough, we've also sold some to horse race tracks for managing tractor.
So does it leave like? What's left behind? What does the soil look like after the machine's been through?
It's open and crumbly. You get kind of like as an example, in wheat stubble, the stubble rows are maintained. The stubble itself is not knocked down, but all the material that's come off the chaffer and through the chopper in that little band that's laying on top of the ground tends to get incorporated slightly into the ground. So it's a bit black, and the soil itself is open and crumbly from being lifted and shattered and have the air brought into it.
Okay, well thanks a lot, Mark, and we'll talk to you again soon in the future.
Thank you.